I've been wanting to make a video to address what is happening in honestly all over the world now. I was gonna say in my hometown, but it's not even just here, it's everywhere. I am a Mexican American, I'm Latina. I am extremely proud of my culture, of my ethnicity. I am a child of immigrants, so this is something that I hold so close to my heart. On top of that, I have been in favor of human rights since I was extremely young and extremely aware of the hardships that different people experience. I don't think it's woke to be compassionate, to be empathetic. And I think what happened in LA last weekend, it wasn't just a series of protests, it was a warning. Burning cars, blocked freeways, National Guards, Marines. On the surface, it looks like chaos. But that chaos has a cause, and as someone who has been in the front lines, I can tell you that it was far from a riot. Because let's get one thing straight, people didn't just show up to yell and start looting and start chaos or whatever is depicted in the media. They showed up because their neighbors, our neighbors, were being taken. Military style arrests happening in broad daylight across the state and now country. There was no coordination with local law enforcement, no warrants, and no warning. Heavily armed agents in tactical gear taking people off buses, taking people who were just walking down the streets, attacking people across parking lots. And there was no due process, no human rights, and it is unconstitutional. This is not about criminals and domestic terrorism like Trump likes to tweet out. No, this is about profit. This administration is working alongside privatized prisons, many of which are filling their facilities with detained immigrants. Why? Because detained immigrants are cheap labor. They work for literal cents on the dollar. It takes 5 days worth of labor to be able to afford to make a single phone call to family members.
The ICE raids? Yeah, they're making people money. Meet GEO Group, a private prison company and ICE's top contractor. Since Trump took office, GEO Group's stock price has more than doubled.
Over 90% of the people being detained by ICE are in government facilities. They're locked up in 4 prison systems run by companies like GEO Group and CoreCivic. These corporations are making billions of dollars a year. In 2022 alone, under the Biden administration, they made over $1.6 billion from ICE contracts. For 2025, Donald Trump's done a great job at creating profit. You could say concentrated profit for these corporations. GEO Group is projected to pull in $2.5 billion. CoreCivic, around $2 billion. This isn't about public safety. This is about capitalism, profiting off of human suffering. You are the one paying for it. Taxpayers are footing a $3 to $3.5 billion yearly bill to fund the system, and 90% of the detention money is going to private facilities. We're literally paying corporations to lock up vulnerable people. Here's the real kicker, though. These companies aren't just collecting our taxpayer money. They're using taxpayer money to rig the system. GEO Group donated over $700,000 to Trump-aligned PACs. CoreCivic threw in $500,000 to Trump's inauguration. Why? It's because back in 2019, Trump pushed for 100,000 detention beds. These companies saw billion-dollar signs floating in the air, and they're still profiting under both the Republicans and the Democrats. That means every additional detainee is profit signs. Every mother separated from their child, every asylum seeker is being locked away, and human lives are being reduced to line items on a corporate balance sheet. The conditions inside of these centers, there's reports of abuse, medical neglect, overcrowding, and deaths, and all of it is being funded by taxpayer dollars.
Every single arrest means more people behind bars and more money flowing directly to the private prison industry and to this administration's pockets. This isn't just about policy. It's a business model. This is why there are literal bounty hunters on the loose going after innocent civilians. And it doesn't just stop or start with ICE. Silicon Valley companies like Google, Waymo, and Palantir have signed multi-million contracts with ICE and DHS, some worth over $30 million, to police the general public. You saw a lot of Waymos on the news being burned down in the LA protests, and why? The self-driving vehicles are constantly recording and storing data, and they have partnered with LAPD to identify suspects using facial recognition and surveillance.
Is one of the biggest investors in Palantir, and Palantir is a mega surveillance company. They have gotten tens of millions of dollars in government contracts, most notably the $30 million contract for Immigration OS, It's a program that they use to target vulnerable communities to conduct raids.
So they've been making money off breaking families apart.
It is infringing upon our privacy, and it is taking away our freedoms.
Not only can they track immigrants, but they are looking to track American citizens. And I'm pretty sure none of us would want an algorithm to profile us and use that to determine whether or not we are criminals.
State-sponsored policing, your movements, your face, every single action you make, your life, it's now being sold to the highest bidder. And let's be very clear, Trump is not only breaking the law, he's ignoring it completely. He is deploying these troops over the objections of our governor. He invoked a law that requires state coordination and tossed it aside like it meant nothing. This is the same administration who fired qualified government officials and replaced them with extreme loyalists. He does not want oversight. He wants obedience. And despite LAPD saying that they were not going to be working with Homeland Security, protesters were met with rubber bullets, tear gas, and batons. Let's be clear, these rubber bullets are meant to be shot on the ground so that they could bounce from it, not shot directly at protesters. Press members have been shot and hospitalized. Peaceful citizens, the same thing, trampled even. This is starting to look less and less like enforcing the law and more like punishment.
You're here to protect it, sir. Are you here to protect it, sir? You fucking did that, so you fucking take care of it. What the fuck is wrong with you?
The longer you stay here, the longer it's going to take for ambulance to get here.
No, that's such a lie. Get a damn ambulance here. You shot her in the head with a rubber bullet.
Back off.
No, we're trying to get you to just make a fucking phone call.
Because there are a few people who are testing or agitating the police, right? Screaming at their faces, telling them to do better. And I mean, in my opinion, that is not enough to start shooting at them. That is not enough to use tactics like kettling to imprison them. And if those policemen fall so easily under pressure and start using non-lethal weapons at them when they are simply being yelled at and criticized, then they are not in the right profession. But this is what happens when a government wages a war on its own people and prioritizes profit and power. This is not new. Police brutality is not new. We've been seeing it in 2020, but in 2020 it was at least talked about. Now, it's a norm. Oh, don't talk to the officers because you know how they are. Be peaceful because you know how things are. That is not how things should be. These people are here to serve and protect us. And despite them being recorded, despite multiple cases of these incidents, they feel so comfortable in attacking the civilians because they know they will face no consequences. And I have had conversations with older people, older generations who have been in this country for decades, some of them their whole lives, and they say that they have never seen anything like this. I think a lot of the people are trying to rebuke what is going on by saying that, oh, Obama deported so many more people, Biden deported all these people. The issue itself is not deportation. The issue is the way that this administration is handling the deportations. Raids have never been conducted like this. People who were doing it the quote-unquote right way are still being detained. Churches are no longer being respected. These are places of worship. Agents are literally pulling people off the streets. Sometimes they don't even ask for documentation. There have been multiple citizens who have been pulled off the streets, people who are putting gas in their tanks, waiting for the bus. And the worst thing is that family members don't get to know about their relatives' whereabouts until weeks later. I know somebody who was sent across the country. These are single parents who don't know if their kids will be all right. Heads of the households who don't know if their families will survive without them. What they are going by are the color of our skin and the clothes that we wear. This is blatant racism, and this is looking more and more like a Gestapo. I know there are so many people in my community, myself included, who are scared to go out. I don't feel safe. My heart aches for my undocumented neighbors. To make matters worse, we have a history of losing immigrants, losing children, foster kids who are undocumented are being stripped away from their families, from their foster homes.
We have some breaking and very sad news. The Trump administration is now taking immigrant children out of their foster homes, some as young as infants, and throwing them back into detention facilities. This isn't happening at the border. This is happening inside American communities. In just the last few months, at least 500 children have been ripped from their caregivers. In some cases, agents have walked into homes in plain clothes or even showed up at schools to question children. If they flag any concerns or find any immigration violations, the child is taken. Some of these kids are just months old. Others are 10, 11, and 12 years old. They are not accused of any crime whatsoever, but they are being treated like criminals. This is a revival of family separation. Only now it's quiet, it's bureaucratic, and it's happening to children who have already found safety, love, and support.
I'm scared. I'm scared. Don't let me go. And I have to because the county of LA said I had to.
ICE is now removing undocumented foster children from their foster homes. Removing foster children from their foster homes for deportation.
According to NaplesShelter.org, the United States is considered the largest consumer of human trafficking, particularly in the context of sexual exploitation. This high demand drives traffickers to supply victims, including many children, to meet the needs of this illicit market. This lack of empathy, of sympathy, of morality that we're giving these people is justified under the false narrative that undocumented people are criminals. But being undocumented is a civil offense. It's like jaywalking, a contract breach, property damage, defamation, negligence, discrimination. These are all civil offenses. These people are not criminals. They're neighbors, they're friends, they're people who are just trying to make an honest living. And they do not deserve to be treated like criminals.
Por favor, banda, compartan esto. Ayúdenos, háganlo viral rápido, por favor. Estamos en el centro de detención de Chrome, aquí en Miami, Florida. A punto de... Estamos secuestrados. Estamos en un proceso de deportación, pero llevamos más de 20 días. Hay personas que llevan más de un mes que no se pueden comunicar. Por favor, ayúdenos.
Yesterday I brought you this story about the Chrome Detention Center in Miami, Florida. And we need to continue the conversation because what's happening there is absolutely terrifying. Originally built in the 1960s as a military base, Chrome was later converted into an ICE facility. It was never meant to hold this many people. It was originally designed to hold 500. Right now, over 4,000 people are locked inside. That's over 8 times the original capacity. And the conditions, they're inhumane. Detainees are given 1 cup of water that they have to share per day, and there's not enough food to go around. And now, it has been confirmed that there have been 3 people reported as unalive due to the lack of proper treatment. ICE is of course claiming that they do not know who these people are because they didn't have IDs when they were detained. Are you serious? These are people that are in your custody and you don't even know what their names are? Now there have been investigations into this case by people like Colton Lewis. Please go and follow his account for more information on this particular topic. ICE is blocking them from doing any type of investigative work on what's really going on inside. And to make things even more dystopian, Lewis is now deploying drones over the area just to monitor what's going on because they have been denied access. If this doesn't enrage you, I honestly don't know what will. Now it is absolutely clear to me, as it should be to you by now, the administration is coming for everyone, foreign and domestic. They're locking up immigrants, refugees, activists, and people with green cards and visas. And some aren't even making it out alive. This is what Trump's America looks like, and we need to keep exposing it.
The problem is that heavily militarized local law enforcement creates situations ripe for abuse, much like we're seeing right now. Whether they're coordinated with local federal agencies or not, the result is the same, the terrorization of the local population, most of whom aren't even committing crimes. And if they are protesting, which is why these troops were called out to begin with, most are doing it extremely passively, simply exercising their constitutional rights. And yes, some people did escalate things, you know, when emotions are heightened, it is going to lead to a few outliers to cause chaos, throw things, agitate policemen. But that kind of chaos is predictable when communities are met with riot gear, tear gas, and unmarked vehicles kidnapping their neighbors. And Trump knows this. That's why he installed loyalists, not leaders, at every level of federal enforcement. It is unbelievable, the people who we have leading our departments right now. He fired qualified officials and replaced them with incompetent leaders like Pete Hegseth, a failed TV personality with an alleged drinking problem, who is now our Secretary of Defense.
One of your colleagues said that you got drunk at an event at a bar and chanted "Kill all Muslims." Another colleague, not anonymous, we have this, said that you took coworkers to a strip club. You were drunk, you tried to dance with strippers, you had to be held off the stage, and one of your employees in that event filed a sexual harassment charge as a result of it. Now, I know you deny these things, but isn't that the kind of behavior that, if true, would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, anonymous false charges.
They're not anonymous. And I'll just conclude and say this to the chairman. You claim that this was all anonymous. We have seen records with names attached to all of these, including the name of your own mother. So don't make this into some anonymous press thing.
Take 2 from the U.S., we'll take 2 from international, and then we'll go from there.
You have focused on what Ukraine is giving up. What concessions will Putin be asked to make?
Ultimately is guaranteed by strength of Europeans who are there prepared to back it up.
Right in the
Can you name the importance of at least one of the nations in the ASEAN, and what type of agreement we have with at least one of those nations? And how many nations are in ASEAN, by the way?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of nations in that, but I know we have allies in South Korea and Japan, and in AUKUS with Australia, you're trying to work on submarines with them.
Mr. Hexat, none of those countries are in ASEAN. None of those 3 countries that you mentioned are in ASEAN. I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations.
Or Christy Noem, who also doesn't know our laws.
What is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right
to. Let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
Habeas corpus, you have the body. It is the government taking someone and imprisoning them without due process, and that's what it prevents. That's what it's there for.
Yes, it allows people to challenge their detention.
To make sure that the government is justified in taking people. And the fact that the Homeland Security Secretary had no clue what it was as she's snatching bodies.
Almost thought it was the opposite.
I mean, our Secretary of Education, Linda McCahoon, do you know her qualifications? Television producer, actress, wrestling promoter, and now she's a politician.
What was we ranked in reading and math in 1979?
I'm sorry, what?
What was we ranked nationally in math and reading in 1979?
We were very, very low on the totem pole.
We were number 1 in 1979.
We were very, very low on the totem pole. Actually, we were number 1. Very awkward. That's Secretary of Education, everyone. Now, in her limited defense, Senator Mullen's question was garbled nonsense. I mean, set aside the strange verb conjugation about what we was, which ranks, which, by the way, maybe that's confirmation that our education system needs help. He asked her how the U.S. ranked nationally when he clearly meant globally. So clearly, neither of these people are getting an A in reading comprehension or, frankly, grammar today. What about math?
We spend $1.58 billion a year on TRIO.
Yes.
That's $1,580 million a year. Is my math right?
I think that's right, sir.
And how long have we been spending $1,580 million a year on this program? More than 10 years?
Yes.
So that's over $1 trillion.
Okay. I understand that we was not ranked number 1 in math recently either, but something there seems off, right? Don't have to be a mathematician. Maybe there's a Democrat on this committee who can help them out a little bit.
Madam Secretary, and I'm not a great mathematician, but I think you were talking about $1 trillion. I believe 1.5 billion times 10 is $15 billion. That's a little bit off from $1 trillion. But
I think the budget cuts $1.2 billion.
Well, 1.2, that would be $12 billion, not $1 trillion.
Okay.
Insurrection Act, it gives the president unchecked authority to deploy armed forces in any state at any given time without permission. And there is no clear definition of what qualifies as an insurrection. The Supreme Court already ruled that this is entirely up to the president. And this administration knows that. They dip their toes in the water by sending out the National Guard. That way, they avoid a complete firestorm for declaring national law. And historically, federalizing the National Guard has been used in the past, but to protect civilians. Like when LBJ federalized Alabama's National Guard to allow Dr. King and others to safely march from Selma to Montgomery. The only difference is that today, the same authority is being weaponized to protect ICE raids and silence defiance. And for these past months, ICE has grown more chaotic, acting like a faceless Gestapo for Trump's mission to crack down on brown and immigrant communities. People are fed up. People are outraged. And Trump and his administration is counting on that edge to spark unrest. Because more unrest justifies more crackdowns, more militarization. especially in blue states like we're seeing now after the No Kings Day protests. Trump has now declared to escalate ICE raids in liberal strongholds. And the message is loud and clear. You protest your government, and the same government will come for you. It's intimidation, not just for immigrants, but for anyone watching. I mean, just look at what his hatred has already sparked. 2 Democratic lawmakers were shot in a targeted attack in Minnesota. And this far-right extremist left behind a manifesto and a hit list for over 70 Democrats, abortion rights advocates, and clinics. He impersonated a cop, broke into her home, and murdered her and her husband. Here in Riverside, super close to where I live, a man rammed his car through a peaceful No Kings Day protest, sending 21-year-old Alexa Carrasco into a medically induced coma.
This is an updated video on Alexa Carrasco, the young woman that was the victim of a hit and run at a No Kings protest in Riverside, California. Alexa was at the protest with her friends when a black SUV drove through the crowd and struck her, leaving her with multiple serious injuries, including a cracked rib, a punctured lung, a broken leg, and several skull fractures. She is now in a medically induced coma and awaiting surgery.
These are the domestic terrorists the administration should be calling out, but instead he scapegoats immigrants and leftists. I think it's time that we stop pretending like Trump is just another politician or like this man-child. He was found guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records. This is the same man who called Jeffrey Epstein a terrific guy, said he'd known him for 15 years. He flew on Epstein's jets multiple times. Elon Musk, who donated $270 million to Trump's political campaign, claimed that you could find our president's name on the Epstein files, on the Epstein list. And while they are distracting us with quote-unquote border security, they are gutting our democracy. A group called the Election Truth Alliance claims that there was vote manipulation in Clark County, Nevada. Shortly after the election, Trump stated, quote, Elon knows those computers better than anyone, those vote counting computers. We ended up winning Pennsylvania in a landslide, end quote. Musk has also made several tweets alluring to the fact that without him, Republicans would have lost the election. We are now living under an oligarch system, one that has created more income and wealth disparity than at any other point in modern American history. This same system has corrupted our democracy by allowing billionaires to pour an insane amount of funds into campaigns. In the 2024 election, Trump received $270 million from Musk. In return, Musk was handed the ability to gut public agencies and unprecedented influence. Because of this approach, entire departments have been gutted. The National Institutes of Health, the CDC, the Department of Education, and even USAID, which once provided life-saving aid to millions globally, gone, erased. And now Trump and his allies are preparing the big, beautiful bill, a massive budget that literally hands $645 billion in tax breaks to the top 1%. Could you believe that? Compare your life to Kylie Jenner's, Kim Kardashian's, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Are they really the ones who need more tax breaks? Are they really the ones who need more money in their pockets? Maybe you're struggling working 2 jobs, 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Maybe you can't afford to even take a pet to the vet. You haven't gone to the doctors in years. You haven't gone to the dentist in years because you cannot afford it. And how will these tax breaks be paid for? How will our country do this? Oh, by slashing Medicare, slashing Medicaid, the ACA, nutrition programs, veteran benefits, and the Social Security Administration, just so that top 1% can have a little bit more tax break. It is anticipated that 16 million Americans will lose access to healthcare. 50,000 unnecessary deaths per year, 83,000 veteran affairs jobs on the chopping block, and millions pushed deeper into poverty. And this is the heart of this administration. Reward the rich, punish the vulnerable, and silence the critics. This isn't just policy. This isn't just a Republican running our country. This isn't just Trump being Trump. No, this is authoritarianism in slow motion. This is oligarchy gone rampant. So this is not even about immigration. This is not about national security. This is not about foreign invasions or domestic terrorism. This is solely about power and profit to erode any last safeguard between democracy and dictatorship. So what can we do during these times where everything feels extremely daunting, where it can feel like we're just really screwed, where it can feel scary to walk your streets? We can resist, we can organize, and we can vote. This administration is a machine built by billionaires and maintained through manipulation. If you can protest, do it, but make sure, you take the right precautions. You don't do it alone. Find vetted organizations and the tactics. And remember that protests will not change the world in a week. In a month. The Montgomery bus boycott alone lasted 13 months. Our generation, I won't even say our generation because I think just society as a whole right now, we are just so used to instant gratification. 1 weekend of protests, 2 weekends of protests, 3 months of protests, 1 year of protests. It won't be enough to really make a change. But if we keep pushing, we will get there. Movements take time, planning, and community. So really make sure to build that community around you or join an already established one and show up, even if it's inconsistently, like if it's for an hour a week, for an hour a month, whatever you can commit to your community, it's going to be what is necessary. I'm pretty sure pretty much every large city has a mutual aid organization, but you can definitely start one if you're from like a smaller town. I've been a part of mine since 2020, and it's honestly such an amazing experience to be able to give back to the community. It's not glamorous at all. Sometimes we're on the streets like making bags for homeless people, taking donations, toothbrushes, socks, and making peanut butter sandwiches and putting them in bags and then handing them out. And sometimes, you are going to meet some questionable characters in the sense that a lot of homeless people are drug addicts. So, it could feel kind of like awkward at times, but it is a beautiful experience because you get to talk and connect with like-minded individuals who do want to see a change in their community, who do care about their community, who are actively doing something to help it. And I found those groups by going to the protests in 2020, but I found multiple organizations since then by simply just looking at Instagram. And there are many roles that come into play during a protest. You can be a legal observer where you kind of just take note of everything going on so that when lawsuits are made later on, you're able to have that footage and have those notes of what happened in those encounters so that you can help the legal process. And if you're passionate for your community, I think this is a huge one, but run for local office. I think we need to see more people who represent us. This does not represent the country. We need to see more diversity in Congress. We need to see more diversity in the White House, but also in our local government. A lot of people underplay the power of the local government, but policy truly begins where you live. So if you have it in you to lead, do it, please. I think the biggest one that we can do right now is to support undocumented people. If you have any sort of money to donate, please do it. Especially now when many people are putting their lives at risk when they go to work. Many people are scared to go to work, but they simply cannot afford to not go to work. Talk to your neighbors. Maybe get a group together to help pay for someone's rent for the month so that they can stay home for that day, or cover somebody's pay for that day. I know money is extremely tight right now, but I think if a lot of us gather up and donate what we can, it can yield a bigger fund. Buy from street vendors. I've seen TikToks of like people buying out all of the things that the street vendors have. And that's so important because at the end of the day, these people need to work. But every second that they stay on the streets is putting them closer and closer to danger. Support local mutual aid efforts in local communities. If you don't want to talk to anybody directly, you can donate to these communities who have programs in place to help immigrants. They need safety. These people need safety, and you can help provide it. And remember to be kind to each other. I think our country is being torn apart by cruelty disguised as policy. Please don't replicate that in your own community. I've honestly never been more distraught over my community and over the future of my people, but I've also never felt more patriotic, because patriotism isn't blind loyalty. It's a love so deep that you're willing to fight for the soul of your country, to demand it live up to its promises. I remember seeing in movies and even hearing stories about our country and people coming here because this country promised the American dream. This country promised equality and freedom and protection and kindness. And for so long, we've been hearing that the American dream is dying or that the American dream is dead, but we can bring it back. We can redefine what America looks like. And that is what I hope to see in the future. I hope more of us start fighting for our democracy. I hope more of us start standing up to this oligarchy and start voting for our own benefits, not for the benefits of the top 1%. But yeah, that was all that I have for you guys today. If you are so anti this, if you don't see what's going on, you can't teach somebody how to have a moral compass. If you have any sort of moral compass, you know this isn't just political, and it hasn't been for a while. It's about people. It's about power. It is about whether we let them keep profiting off of our pain. It's about whether we accept the struggle of so many hardworking individuals as normal. If we keep on accepting the crumbs that we are given, policies affect every single person in this nation, everyone. And back to it, if you don't feel anything for what is going on, anything for the people that are being attacked right now, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know. Like, I don't know how you can see the current state of the world and think, you know, just like turning a blind eye to it. I have never been that type of person, and I have cut so many people off for that. Not so much so for disagreeing with me, but for not even caring about others. That to me is so disgusting. So like, if I see any hate comments, I'm just gonna delete it. I truly don't care about your opinion. If you're gonna comment any hate, I really don't, but I am gonna delete it because it's just gross and I don't want anybody else to see that. But yeah, that was all that I had for you guys today. I didn't just want to make a post. I didn't just want to make like a comment on my video like I've seen other YouTubers do. That didn't feel right to me because I feel so strongly about this, and this is directly impacting my community, and I wanted to make a video about it. But it just took me so long because, as you can see, like, I'm getting very emotional. This is like such an emotional topic for me. I truly feel, well, I don't know, I already ranted about it long enough. But yeah, thank you for watching. I will leave some sources and links so that you can maybe donate to. A lot of GoFundMes about people that I personally know, and I will probably update that. I mean, it's sad to say, but as more people I know get detained, I am trying to help as many people get access to a lawyer, so I'll probably keep updating that as time goes on. But yeah, thank you for watching until the end if you did, and until next time, bye.